Okay, I am glad to see you again, students. You have passed your hundreds levels. You are no longer novices of the arena, so it's time for your apprenticeship. And just like you'll soon be crafting some cards, we are going to craft you up from your novice with a foundation to an experienced apprentice ready to make their way out into the wide multiverse of magic. So, having finished the first tutorial, we're going to go right into the color challenges. We're going to play some games. We're going to win some cards and wild cards. Now that we've gone over the basics, over these games, I'm going to focus a little bit more on upskilling, on tactics and strategy. I'm not going to explain every single card, though I will mouse over the new ones so you can see. When this creature becomes blocked, they get a 1/1 token. I'm playing a red deck. It is aggressive. Clearly they have benefits when they have blockers. I can now play any one of my 4/2 drops. Hallowed Priest is a 1/1 and says when you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. I don't want to play the 1/1 because I can't block profitably a Tin Street Cadet. I want to play either of these cards that cost 2. Passionate Orator says whenever another creature you control enters, you gain a life. I'm going to play the Orator, because now, if I play the Hallowed Priest, well, you will see, but it's going to enter the battlefield. It entering the battlefield is going to cause the Orator to trigger, and I gain a life. Gaining a life is going to cause it to trigger. I put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So, these two cards synergize. Every time I play a creature, I effectively get a counter on this. So, because that doesn't say anything like once a turn, it just says whenever you gain life, I'm going to play the other Orator. Gain life, get a counter. I'm going to play the other Hallowed Priest. Gain 2 life. Both of these are going to gain 2 counters. Now that this one's big enough 5, I'm going to attack into them. I didn't attack last turn, because even though trading my 2/2 for 2 of their cards, their 2 1/1s, yes, it's ahead on cards, but I'm not in a rush, and keeping this on board lets me grow these Hallowed Priests. Now that I have a 5/5, though, there's no block they have that kills my creature, so no reason not to attack. Inspiring Commander says whenever another creature you control power 2 or less enters, you gain 1 life and draw a card. Because of that, I'm actually going to hold this Moorland Inquisitor in my hand. I could play it, and I'm actually going to play it, I realized. I could play it and grow these, and I realized because I'm going to gain 2 life, it's going to grow both of them by 2, that's a lot. But I could also hold it in hand, so that I know I have a card that triggers the Inspiring Commander, and lets me draw the cards from this. But I realized it's too much value to gain the 2 life to put the 2 +1/+1 counters on the Hallowed Priests. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That way I can attack for 12. The game is pausing now because I have this ability. We've talked about the cards that have flavor text, just these italics, the cards that have these triggered abilities whenever another creature control enters, or whenever you gain life, cards that have keywords like flying and haste. This card has an activated ability, and it says I can pay 3 mana, 2 generic, 1 white, at instant speed, because it doesn't say only during your turn or only when you could cast a sorcery. So I can pay 3 mana to give this creature first strike until end of turn. And you can see, first strike means it deals combat damage before creatures without first strike. So if this were to attack a 2/2, with first strike, it would deal its 2 damage first, kill the X2, the 2/2, but it could be a 3/2, 4/2, 1/2, doesn't matter. It'll deal its 2 damage first, kill that, and then not receive any damage in return. They're attacking. They have this enchantment that they've played. Whenever a creature you control with power 2 or less attacks, it deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker that creature is attacking. So this isn't an aura, which means they can play it and it just stays on the board. It doesn't need a creature to enchant, and it gets triggered whenever a creature they control with power 2 or less attacks. In this case, the Herloin Minotaur. I could block, but there's no reason to block. Even though this has first strike, this has 3 health, and these don't. So it would still kill one of my creatures, and I had so much life, I can afford not to block. So I'm just going to go right to combat. I'm going to show you what first strike does, but then I'm going to win. This has first strike, so it's going to deal its combat damage, and then everything else is going to deal its combat damage. And there you go. That's our first victory. Now let's go into our next game, and this time I'm going to talk a bit more about the setup now that we're playing in a normal game. So you'll notice we both started with 7 cards. 5 plus 1 plus 1 is 7. I started with 7 as well, but because I'm on the draw, they got the first play, so they're on the play, I'm on the draw. I get to draw a card at the start of my turn, and then everyone will draw a card at the start of their turn. So I get to actually have 8 cards on my first turn, but they have the momentum of playing before I do. And you'll see here, you need to discard down to 7 at the end of your turn. If you have more than 7 cards at the end of a turn, you have to discard down to 7. I play my land, the game skips ahead, it knows I have nothing to play. I play my land, the game pauses, it knows I have multiple things I could play. I'm going to play an Orator, and then it can't attack, Summoning Sickness, game skips ahead. I am not going to block. This has another keyword, Death Touch. Any amount of damage a source with Death Touch deals to creatures enough to destroy it. So even though this is a 1/1, and normally a 2/2 will kill a 1/1 without dying in return, this 1 damage deals as Death Touch damage, so it only needs to deal 1 damage to kill my creature. I'm going to attack. They're not going to block, there's no reason to. Then I'm going to play. So the steps that we are going through, albeit quickly because we don't have that many effects yet, are first, untap. You see our lands and creatures untap. Then, if you have any upkeep triggers, some things trigger at the beginning of your turn, but that's called your upkeep. Then you're going to draw. Then's your first main phase, your time to play lands and cast spells before combat. It's a trade-off, and if you want to play lands or cast spells before combat, having more cards in hand and more mana open means you can bluff having more things. For example, I have this instant. If I had no mana available, my opponent would know I can't play any cards. If I have just 1 white mana, they have to be concerned that I might have this combat trick, and it makes their combat math more complicated. But I also know they might have removal spells or flash creatures, and I really want to trigger the life gain aspect of the Hallowed Priest. So I'm just going to play that, and then go to combat. This one with 1/1 Death Toucher is a decent attacker, because I'm not that interested in blocking it, but it's a great blocker, because no matter how big this is, 3/3 or 12/12, this 1/1 can block it, absorb all the damage, and kill it because it has Death Touch. I'm spreading out my threats. I made this the 5/5 flyer because this is the better creature, and it'll grow whenever I play any creature. And if they have a kill spell, I don't want them to be able to kill my best creature, and it's also the one with the aura on it. I want to have 2 good creatures, so they have to split their focus a little bit. So if you haven't seen by now, one of the sub-themes for white cards and white decks is life gain. These cards gain you life, these cards benefit when you gain life. So, that is one of the sub-themes for white. Now, this is my rare. This says whenever this creature attacks, create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink. Lifelink is like Death Touch in that it affects the damage you deal, but where Death Touch means any amount of damage this creature deals to another creature, not player, but another creature, is enough to kill it, Lifelink says any damage this creature deals in general gains you that much life. Now, it doesn't have haste, so it can't attack the turn I play it, and my opponent's at 2, so there's no reason to do that. I'm gonna attack, and that's lethal. Okay, we're gonna do one more game now against Jace and Blue, and see if there's anything more that we can go over. They start on the play, they play a land, they have no 1-drops, cards that cost 1 mana. So they pass the turn. Now it's my turn. Since I'm on the draw, I draw a card, I play a land, I do have a 1-drop. This Charmed Stray. It's 1/1 with lifelink, so I gain life when it deals damage. It also says whenever this creature enters, put a +1 counter on each other creature you control named Charmed Stray. So that's why there's the advantage of you can play up to 4 cards of any 4 copies of any singular card in your deck, because I can, if I have 3 other of these in my 60 card deck, only 50 cards remaining in my library, but if I play them, then all of a sudden this 1/1 for 1 mana becomes a 2/2 for 1 mana. That's a good deal. If I somehow have all of them in my opening hand, I can have a 4/4 for 1 mana. That's a fantastic deal. I'm going to play my Hollowed Priest before combat. That way, when the Charmed Stray deals lifelink damage, I'm going to get that extra counter on the Priest. Now, what was a little new? We saw I hovered over my deck, and I get this little pop-up. This tells me how many cards are left in my deck and my opponent's deck, 49 and 50. How many cards are in our hands, 5 apiece. But I play a land, it becomes 4. Play a creature, it becomes 3. How many cards are in my graveyard? Currently 0. And this little twisty icon is Exile. As we saw in the... I'm not attacking with my 2/2, even though it would trade with this 2/1, because I value the life gain I gain from every creature, because it pumps up, makes stronger, this Hollowed Priest. I'm attacking with this 1/1 though, even though that also makes the Hollowed Priest bigger. If they want to make this trade, that's fine with me. I even have the combat trick I could use, but I don't think I need to use it here. I want to save this for a worst case scenario. And for example, I can now attack into this 4/4. I drew another combat trick, but I can attack into this 4/4 with my 2/2s in a trade that otherwise would have been bad for me. I could have kept my 1/1, but if I kept my 1/1 and didn't draw another trick, then I couldn't attack into this 4/4. Now here is an actual good lesson to end 201 Apprentice Magic on. What I was about to do was pump up the Impassioned Orator so that it would survive combat. And what I caught myself, and why I stopped, is because I realized I was falling into a classic trap. No matter how experienced you get with Magic, you have to remember the aim of my game is to get my opponent to 0 life. If my opponent gets to 0 life, it doesn't matter if I have 1 life, if I have 0 cards in hand, if I only have 2 cards left in my library. If my opponent gets to 0 life before I do, and before I run out of cards in my library, I win. So I could use one of these to make the Impassioned Orators bigger, but I'm dealing 8 damage. You can see this yellow means they've blocked it, this reddish-orange means they haven't. I'm dealing 8 damage. If I pump up... Oh, it's only blocked or blocking. Ugh. I made the same mistake. I made the same mistake in the Novice videos. Well, I'll teach the lesson that I thought I was going to teach. If this didn't specify blocked or blocking, I could pump up the Moorland Inquisitor with both of these, make it a 6/6, and then I would deal 12 damage, and I would win. It wouldn't matter that I lost this creature in combat, wouldn't matter that I have 0 cards in hand. I won. I got them to 0 life. The cards, everything is just a resource and a vehicle to get your opponent to 0 life. But this does say blocking, and there's another lesson of Magic that we also often forget. Reading the card explains the card. When in doubt, click on the card, read it, it'll tell you what it does. And I thought I knew what this card did, but I wasn't reading it. Target blocking or blocked creature. Okay, I'm gonna use both of them on it to keep the Impassioned Orator alive. And I'm gonna feel a little silly, but it's gonna keep me humble. They play a 4/4, it doesn't matter. Even if they toss that 4/4 in front of the 6/6, I'm still dealing enough damage with my other creatures. Okay, that's 3 games. Ran through, hopefully, some helpful examples of what actually playing looks like, albeit still against a computer. And showed you that even when you make it to the highest echelons of this game, even when you play this every day, you can get complacent and you can forget to read the card, and you gotta stay on your toes. Okay, we'll call it there for now, and we'll pick back up and we'll finish the White Collar Challenge next time. Thank you.